Hi, I'm Liz Warner, and this is Brianna Slater, and we are presenting our action research study, or token economy systems. The problem that we addressed was disruptive behaviors in our classrooms, and we all know that discipline and self-control are an integral part of an elementary school classroom, and each year as teachers, we are faced with new challenges with respect to behavior and classroom management techniques. And one study that we looked at, Anderson and Marchant, found that students who regularly participate in problematic behaviors are inclined to disrupt instruction and encumber others' learning, as well as limit their own opportunities for academic success. The purpose of our study was to explore the impact of using behavior-specific positive feedback in coordination with the use of a token economy system. And Hackenberg and Cosgrave defined token economy as a system for providing students with positive reinforcement by handing out tokens or objects for desirable behavior or at the completion of a task. A token economy system is a system that focuses on frequently and consistently rewarding students for positive behavior. Okay, and Boone and Spencer, another study that we looked at, stated that a comprehensive classroom token economy is a very good system for providing classroom structure and for controlling a variety of distracted and disruptive behaviors. And the other thing we worked on is behavior-specific feedback, which is feedback that is specific, detailed, and immediate. And an example of that would be, I like how you remembered to use punctuation at the end of your sentences. Different researchers have defined behavior-specific feedback as verbal feedback that provides the student with approval and a specific description of the behavior in order for the student to know explicitly what behavior is being acknowledged. And this, it may be either an academic or a social behavior. So we did a literature review. We studied a lot of different literature and read through literature on these two topics. And the studies conducted were on behavior-specific feedback as well as token economy systems. And some of the most prominent findings were Reinke, Lewis, Palmer, and Merrill found that when a classroom is managed effectively, it can help reduce the number of disruptive behaviors and escalate the level to which students are engaged academically. And then Stormont and Reinke found that implementing behavior-specific praise can help eliminate disruptive behaviors, even with extremely challenging students, and reduce the number of reprimands, and also increase the positive relationships with students. And when this type of praise was increased in a classroom setting, Sutherland, Webby, and Copeland found an increase from 49% to 86% in on-task behavior, and overall increasing the use of behavior-specific praise is proven to decrease behavior problems in the classroom, as well as increase a more positive work environment for the students. And when using a token economy system, it was found that there was a mutual connection between an increase in academic performance and a decrease in the amount of disruptions. And also, as well as an increase in the amount of time students spent on task when they were being rewarded often. And the intervention that we implemented, which Brianna will discuss in a few minutes, was implemented at two different school sites. And School A is a public elementary school with 395 students from the transitional kindergarten level to the 5th grade levels. And at this site, the participating class was a 1st grade class with 24 students.
School B is also a public school, but located in San Diego County. The school has 524 students from the transitional kinder to the 6th grade levels. The class that participated had 22 students, 31% of which were female, 69% of the class were male, and 31% of the class have additional special education services. The intervention that Liz and I implemented was a 4-week intervention. Once we had the parental consent form signed to the time we ended, it was a total of 4 weeks. Like Liz mentioned, we implemented a token economy system that was used in coordination with behavior-specific praise. The token economy was used through the use of citizenship sticks, which is simply popsicle sticks, and the behavior-specific praise was used when we provided specific feedback as to why students earned these citizenship sticks. Once students earned the citizenship sticks, they had the opportunity to return them for good slips. So 5 citizenship sticks gave students 1 good slip. When they earned 3 good slips, they could return it for a candy. 5 good slips, they could return it for a treasure box item, and 10 good slips for lunch with the teacher. And it was kind of fun because we noticed a lot of students would say that they were trying to get 18 good slips because then they could get the candy, the treasure box item, and lunch with the teacher. So exciting. Through the interventions and all the research that we conducted, we really found that one of the most beneficial effects of a token economy system was that the reinforcement was given immediately. So as soon as we saw a desired behavior, we would hand the student the citizenship stick and let them know why they received it. We conducted a lot of data, we gathered a lot of data, through surveys, interviews, observations, and collected academic records. In the data that we were gathering, we had the students collect a little, or we had, other adults in our classroom collect data on the number of disruptive behaviors students had in our class just within a half-hour period. And luckily, by the time the intervention had ended, we noticed that there was a decrease. School A started with 43 disruptions, and it decreased down to 30 by the end of the intervention. And School B started with 48 disruptions, and which dropped down to 33. This is just a graph it's kind of easier to see visually, and we believe that there was a correlation when the students' number of disruptive behaviors decreased. There was more on-task behaviors, which is nice because they have access to learning a little bit more. So the purple was the pre-intervention results, and the blue was the post-intervention results. Continuing with our data, through our student interviews and teacher observations, we noticed that there was also an increase in our student motivations for the behavioral system that we had in place. Some sample statements we had from our students, which was really nice to hear. I love using citizenship sticks. It makes me want to work harder. And guys, we should get started right away because we might get a stick then. Really sweet. So this is the graph that shows the increase in student motivation. So we determined student motivation through observations as well as a survey we gave them. In the survey we gave them, the statement was, I feel motivated by the behavior system we have in our classroom. And students had the option of circling either almost always, I almost always feel motivated, sometimes I feel motivated, or never, I never feel motivated. For School A, these are the pre-intervention results and post-intervention results. And you can see that at the start of the intervention, there was 6 students that almost always felt motivated, but by the end of the intervention, there's 15 students that almost always felt motivated by the behaviors system in place. And also a good sign, the number of students that never felt motivated decreased, starting with 3 students never feeling motivated, dropping down to 1. While we found that it was extremely important that our students' disruptive behaviors decreased and the number of, and their motivation increased, we really wanted to see our students' academic proficiencies improve, and it was a great sign that we did. Over here we have a scaled system of 1 through 4, 1 being the lowest and 4 being the highest. 1 would be considered a student performing far below grade level, 2 below grade level, 3 at grade level, and 4 above grade level. So we'll concentrate on School A's results. And School A and School B have very similar results. Luckily for School A, there weren't any students who were performing far below grade level before or after the intervention. However, there were 3 students that were performing below grade level, and those students, that decreased down to just 1. And at the beginning of the intervention, there was 15 students performing above grade level, and that increased to 18. So all good science. So this again was a graph of our academic results, and we believe that there is a direct correlation between the decrease in the number of disruptive behaviors and the increase in the motivation for our students for the academic growth that we witnessed. So we spent a lot more time being able to teach our grade level content, and students were able to access the material more when there is fewer disruptive behaviors. As many interventions do, our intervention did of course come with some implications and some problems that we had faced. We really found that the frequency and consistency of passing out the citizenship sticks were extremely important. However, it did become overwhelming at times. So through our growing pains, through conversations we had with one another, we decided we would still of course pass out citizenship sticks all day long. However, we really try to emphasize non-teacher directed periods of the day. So for example, when students walk in from recess and coming into the classroom, or when they're rotating from one center activity to the next, or when students are doing independent work, so they could be silent reading or working independently on some word work activities. So those are areas we really tried to focus on giving those citizenship sticks. Some samples of when we can focus. For anyone that might possibly be interested in implementing the intervention, we had some suggestions. We would suggest to start early and have a plan. The process of getting parental consent takes a lot longer than one would expect. I'm sure you've seen when papers go home with kids, it's hard to get them back. And you cannot start till you get all the parents signed off. So I'd start that early, get that all prepared. Organize your data early and often. So gather your students' data on their disruptive behaviors or what motivates them, see where they're at academically. And I'd also suggest setting benchmarks where you'd like to collect data one more time, so you can try to gauge if your students are growing or if you're flatlining, so you can determine if you need to change anything up. Collaborating, of course, is important in any profession, but especially when you're doing an intervention, because sometimes when you're in the intervention, you're so focused and you're wanting it so badly to work out, you can possibly miss some problems or issues that are occurring. So getting an unbiased opinion from colleagues can be really beneficial. They can suggest things that you could do differently, or they can let you know, kind of open your eyes, things that may not be going well, or even tell you things that are going really well that you may oversee. Journal findings are really helpful. Teachers are extremely busy during the day, and it's nearly impossible to remember everything that happened by the end of the work week. So taking the time a couple days of the week at the conclusion of the day, just jotting down some things that went well, some things that didn't go well, maybe some student quotes so you can remember how they're feeling. And last suggestion would be to communicate with all stakeholders, your administration, your parents that are involved, any support providers that may be involved that are working with your students as well. And something that I would have overlooked before this intervention was be really communicating with your students. They are affected more than anyone else in this intervention, and support to get their feedback, how they think the intervention is going, if they feel motivated by it, or if they're noticing a difference in behaviors, or if they feel like they're becoming more successful. So that was our presentation, our references in case anyone is interested. We are open to any questions or comments, so feel free to ask them.
Overall, how was it implementing the system?
I'd say for me it was okay to implement. It was just challenging to be really frequent and really consistent with handing out the sticks, but also the behavior-specific feedback. I noticed for me was a huge change, because I would always go around the classroom and say, oh, good job, way to go. But to be really detailed every time you're handing a stick to a student and to tell them exactly what it is really time-consuming. So since I did have a lot of adults in the room, it made it a lot easier, but if I was on my own, I think that would have been a challenge. So that was probably my biggest challenge, but I saw a lot of kids really motivated by the sticks.
Yes.
And I think that was so rewarding in itself, just to see how excited they got, and a lot of them spent a lot more time on task, so I think that was good to see.
I think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Did you also have this, the same most challenging part, or like what was your most challenging part?
My most challenging part would also be just the overwhelmingness of having to give the sticks so frequently and consistently. However, on the flip side of that, I was going to mention that it's nice because it really forces you should always be very positive, but you really concentrate on the positives and try not to concentrate so much on the negatives of the things that are happening in class. And I noticed that that wore off on my students as well. I noticed students were more positive with their classmates, saying, "Good job putting your pencils away when Mrs. Slater asked you to," which is really nice and neat to see, because whether we like it or not, students are watching our every move, and it kind of reminds you to be the best that you can be.
Okay.
Would you use this system again?
Yes, I would use the system again. Liz mentioned that it could be very difficult if you don't have other adults in your classroom, and I don't know what next year will look like, so it's hard to say. If I don't have other adults in my classroom, it might be pretty tricky. I possibly need to tweak it a little bit, because I don't know if one person could do it on their own.
I don't know either. I mean, I would try to use it again, and definitely starting out the year is different, since we started this so late in the year. That was kind of a challenge, although it was better than the system I had in place before, so that made a difference. But I think going into the year, knowing you're going to start with that system is definitely, it would be helpful. But I think I would use it again.
Did it work for your most challenging kids?
I saw an improvement for my most challenging kids, I did. I can't say that they went from being extremely challenging to never being disruptive, but as we saw with their data, the number of disruptive behaviors decreased, and I definitely saw that with my students. And they appeared to be more motivated, whereas before my behavioral system, they didn't seem to be too motivated by.
And for me, at first, yes. At first, it was definitely motivating for all of them, even the ones who were challenging behavior-wise. For me, it was nice because I had parental support for those challenging students, so they tied in their systems at school to their system at home, and that really worked well for one or two of my students, because depending on how many sticks they earned at school, that would affect different rewards for things at home, so that helped a lot.
So this is all of us. Hey.